pictures as these are the updates coming in. We are hearing that Rishi Sunak and the entire delegation have just arrived in the national capital. Remember, today is that very important day where you'll see all the delegations coming in and special programs that have been planned for all these world leaders, especially when it comes to not just the official engagement, but even the engagement programs that have been planned for their spouses. And Rishi Sunak, in particular, who has been looking forward to this event that has been planned in India. As once again, let me tell you how the local flavor that is being given in every which way, in every which corner of the Bharat Mandapam. In fact, if I will also take you outside in a short while from now, where you'll get a sense of that entire section where the world leaders and the delegates will be and the official discussions will happen. But here, as I tell you, of the immersive experience that they're trying to provide. And let me also tell you that all in all, 15 bilaterals that will be conducted, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi may just hold 3 of them at his residence. You saw right when we entered, and the welcome site that you get at the Bharat Mandapam. And here I am at the International Media Centre. I believe Shravan is back with us. Shravan, today is that very day when all the delegates are arriving, the world leaders are arriving, and tomorrow is when the main event starts. We are hearing that these latest pictures of Rishi Sunak having arrived in India, touchdown here. We've stayed with those pictures. In terms of the programs that have been planned, take us through it.
Well, in fact, as far as the bilaterals are concerned, about 15 bilateral is expected over the next 2 days. In fact, starting would be later this evening after US President Joe Biden lands in the national capital. The bilateral is expected to begin around post 7 o'clock is what we are given to understand, and that would essentially be at the Prime Minister's residence at 7 Lok Kalyan Marg. Now, with regards to the other bilaterals, we are also being told that the other bilaterals would be with Mauritius and one with Bangladesh, and this continues for tomorrow as well as a day after. Important to point out here is the fact that as far as the bilateral with the United States of America is concerned, remember there is a final touch that is essentially being given. One, with regards to the nuclear reactors. Second is with regards to the deal between GE and HAL with regards to the jet engine, which is again something that the Prime Minister has had an elaborate discussion in his visit to the United States of America back in the month of June. But the final touch is essentially now being given to that particular deal. That is going to be extremely important in terms of the bilateral. Thereafter, also, with regards to a program for the Indian students in the United States of America, that's also on the card. So if you really look at it in terms of deliverables from these bilaterals, it is expected, especially with the United States of America, and thereafter also with the United Kingdom, that is slated for some time tomorrow is what we are given to understand. So beyond the show that you're really seeing that India is going to put up with regards to the G20 summit, important is also the deliverables here. What are we really looking in terms of challenges that the country is going to face is, of course, it's the consensus document between all the leaders. We'll also get into that in a short while from now. But before I get into the details of what are we going to expect over the next 2 days, what I'm going to try and quickly do is we've come to another position. Perhaps my video journalist is preventing me to largely say because there is a burnout of our visual, but I'll still make that effort to try and give you one quick glimpse of Bharat Mandapam, because that's the closest that we can get right now, and that's where the focus is going to be. I'll just try once again. Let's see if our luck really favors us. That's the Bharat Mandapam that you see. Let's just give it one more shot if our viewers can get a look of it. This is from a distance that you can see. That's the main hall, the convention center, where the meetings are going to actually take place. The front side of it is that big, tall Nataraj statue. That's the greet and meet point where the leaders are going to first be greeted and then taken inside Bharat Mandapam. On the right hand side, what you see is the exhibition hall. Now the exhibition starts from a depiction of what we are calling it the mother of democracy, the evolution of democracy in our country, largest democracy, that is being exhibited in exhibition hall number 14. Apart from that, also with regards to the other countries, countries, the G20 members, their cultural heritage is also being depicted in this particular hall that you see, the exhibition hall. And of course, the Bharat Mandapam, where all the leaders will be together, where the meetings are going to take place in terms of the global challenges of our times. That is essentially going to be discussed in that very meeting. Now, as far as where we are broadcasting right now from is what is known as the International Media Center. It's a large convention hall where, over 4,000 journalists would be over the next 48 hours, would be all together here with a hawk's eye on what's really going to happen tomorrow and a day after with regards to the consensus document. We'll also tell you what has really worked for India as far as the G20 presidency is concerned. Now, critics may continue saying that are we really taking this as part of our election program? Is it what the Prime Minister is essentially doing? But more importantly, for the first time, what we are doing is taking diplomacy to the people. And that is the reason why, when you're looking at over 200 meetings that have taken place at over 50 locations, and let's not forget, we are talking about some of the locations which in the past we haven't really thought about. Having a foreign delegation reaching in Srinagar and then carrying out the program is something that one has to applaud the government about, that we've been extremely successful. In fact, as we speak right now, Rishi Sunak has already landed. It is MOS Ashwini Chaubey who's receiving Rishi Sunak. In fact, speaking to one of the news agencies just about a few days ago, Rishi Sunak essentially said that this is perhaps the perfect time for India to hold the presidency of G20. Let's not forget, as several are pointing out, we are going to be essentially the bridge. Let's listen into what's really happening on the ground. As we get those live images coming in fact, this is exactly how it has been described, arranged for almost all the world leaders the moment they touch down here in the national capital. You have one minister who's been assigned with all the world leaders who would be present there, and thereafter also perhaps receive them, and you would essentially see some sort of a cultural event to also take place, that would actually take place. That's how it is going to be over the next couple of hours. I'm also told that my colleague and our senior executive editor Abhishek Kapoor is also joining us on this broadcast. Abhishek, one point that we were basically discussing with regards to the G20 is the very fact that a lot of focus has been on the consensus document. The Indonesian negotiators, they somehow did manage to bring in that consensus in the previous G20 summit. That is essentially the language framing of the consensus document was in a way that perhaps the Russia-China bloc and the Western nations had to finally come together. But as far as India is concerned, are you really expecting that to happen? Have the negotiators here in India been able to perhaps strike the right balance for having that consensus document?
I speak to the visuals. We are getting those pictures from technical area where Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, accompanied with his wife Akshata Murthy, has come in, and they are now having been received by Ashwini Chaubey on behalf of India, Minister of State, and on behalf of the United Kingdom by their High Commissioner Alex Ellis, are now getting into the car, and the carcade would leave the technical area. I believe the UK delegation staying or put up at the Lee Meridian, and so they would be now travelling to central Delhi. And in the pictures we saw Prime Minister Sunak being received by the welcoming party, as also of course a small quick cultural performance by a troupe present there showcasing India's cultural diversity. Every world leader who's arriving is being given this glimpse of India's cultural diversity. In the pictures, we are seeing a dance performance, seems like Assamese, and from the northeast. And from here on, Rishi Sunak has taken the car, and the carcade would now come to central Delhi. Now, what is important is, Shravan, that the G20 powwow that begins tomorrow morning with a session on climate change, if I'm correct. And then, of course, 3 sessions lined up for the day and culminating with President's dinner in the evening, and then day after tomorrow also engagement before the joint communique. And coming to the joint communique that you were talking about, now there is a difference between Pali and New Delhi, which is that the war has progressed and it seems the Russians believe that they need not make any adjustments any further, and that's the reason why perhaps we are getting a lot of difficulties in terms of getting consensus. But we'll keep discussing that. I'm told we can now go back to Bharat Mandapam, where both Shravan and Swesha are since morning. Swesha, coming back to you, and I believe there must be a frenetic pace of activity at Bharat Mandapam, the venue of the summit. If you can show us some glimpses of what's really happening there on the ground.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And needless to say, Abhishek, I mean, the scale of the event itself defines the kind of coverage that will go into it. And like Meenakshi Lekhi was also telling us the other day that more than 4,000 media personnel, both from India and outside across the globe, are covering this event right here. And which is why you see such elaborate arrangements. So even in terms of the International Media Center that has been created, I mean, never ever have we seen such a huge space for every possible arrangement in terms of how the media will be accommodated and how it will be covered and what are the live pictures and how